we're back to basically the same levels we've done like 3 or 4 times before, but now we're so oversold that the opportunity set means that the risk reward on an adjusted basis going forward is extremely high. Now, you can think about that and think, what's going to be higher in a year's time? Nvidia in terms of percentage gains, or Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Bitcoin? It's very hard to argue that Nvidia doubles from here, considering where we are in the compute cycle, where we are in the semi cycle, where we are in the CapEx build-out cycle. But for here, for the applications layer of this, yeah, I can see that.
Raoul Pal, macro investor and former hedge fund manager, has built his market outlook around one powerful conviction. Global liquidity is the strongest long-term predictor of asset prices, and the data backs him up. Since 2012, global liquidity has carried a 90% correlation with Bitcoin and a striking 97% correlation with the NASDAQ 100. These are not coincidences. They are patterns that have shaped entire market cycles. Currently, global liquidity is expanding at approximately 10% annually, with no signs of slowing, a backdrop that Pal sees as fundamentally supportive for risk assets. Yet the relationship is not without its tensions. Bitcoin has historically tracked liquidity closely, with correlations rising toward 0.8 to 0.9 during major liquidity-driven bull markets. But that alignment has broken down before 2019, 2020, 2022, 2024, and 2025, and it is breaking down again now. After Bitcoin peaked in October, liquidity continued climbing while Bitcoin's price halved, a divergence that serves as a reminder that correlation, however strong, is never permanent. Pal is careful to point out that different liquidity drivers dominate at different times. In previous cycles, China was the engine. Today, he believes U.S. liquidity has taken over as the primary force steering this market cycle. Broad U.S. liquidity is currently growing at around 3.5% year over year, and M2 money supply is accelerating once again, a signal Pal reads as confirmation that U.S. liquidity conditions continue to lead the NASDAQ 100 higher. Before you dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest Bitcoin updates, crypto insights, and market analysis.
Over the long run, global liquidity is the best predictor of asset prices. It's been the highest correlation to Bitcoin, about 85% to 87%, and for the NASDAQ, it's about 97.5%. But she rightly pointed out that it shifts and correlations shift and different parts of the liquidity curve shift to Bitcoin. This is where I am right now, is total global liquidity seems to be roughly in line with Bitcoin right now. So that seems to be the dollar effect. And we'll talk a bit more about this in a sec. NASDAQ has been perfection. We called this sort of panic area and said, look, this is disconnected. It's stupid. It's gone back. It trades perfectly. Going back to my US liquidity, which I think is the big daddy of this cycle. Sometimes it had been China. And again, these are shifting variables. And I think it's important to understand that things shift and there's no perfection. US liquidity broad year on year is growing at about 3.5%, which is okay. It's not great. And we'll come on a little bit into that in a sec. Narrow liquidity is, that's it outright. It's moving up again. That was the TGA, the government shutdown. It's kind of recovering from that. Year on year, not great. So narrow liquidity, what is that? That is Fed net liquidity plus bank securities holdings. So this is of Treasury holdings. So this is the the Treasury selling debt and the banks taking it on, plus the normal kind of central bank balance sheet, etc. And they're just starting to pick up, but they've been held back by a number of issues, and one of them is the flat yield curve. Again, a story for another day, but this is what's going on here. M2 is accelerating again. US liquidity leads the NASDAQ 100. So US seems to be the dominant factor right now. Again, it changed over time. Most of this is not a science, and it's all Bayesian. So I know in the past, everyone's got caught in the trap of like, well, the chart says this, and therefore that's going to happen. You can't do that. You have to just say, contextually this is right. We need to watch for changes, all of that stuff. I was never clear enough in explaining that to people. I mean, I've been doing this 35 years. I just assumed people understood that. Here's narrow liquidity versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not, again, still not doing great. We've got these kind of liquidations going on right now, but comfortably over the short term. Here's the banks held. This is like, are the banks just monetizing the central bank balance sheet? That's growing at about 6 month, 5.4%, yearly, 3.8. So it's not massive yet, right? So we don't have massive monetary printing. And this is where you get into excess liquidity.
Raoul Pal sees something in this market that does not come around often. He wants investors to pay close attention. According to Pal, crypto has returned to previous cycle valuation levels and is now deeply oversold, creating what he describes as an exceptional long-term risk-reward opportunity. Most strikingly, Bitcoin has just touched its most oversold level in approximately 11 years. That is not a signal the market generates every day, and Pal believes it deserves serious attention. When comparing opportunities across asset classes, Pal makes a bold case for crypto over NVIDIA. He argues that Ethereum, Solana, Sway, and Bitcoin all offer greater upside potential than NVIDIA over the next year, suggesting that NVIDIA's gains may be increasingly constrained by maturing AI, computing, semiconductor, and capital expenditure cycles, while crypto's application layer still carries significant growth ahead. On the technical side, the picture is equally compelling. Ethereum is currently registering a monthly 8 and monthly 12 count, and Pal explains that a complete reversal pattern typically forms at counts of 9 and 13, meaning Ethereum is approaching a critical technical inflection point. Sway has already reached the 9-count reversal signal and is trading roughly 1.8 standard deviations below its long-term trend, placing it firmly in oversold territory. Let's get back to the video.
So GMI compounding machine, very simply, that log regression channel we looked at before. So here it is again. Here's in Bitcoin. And you see these green dots. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, of course. If you were so lucky to be able to buy the bottoms and sell the tops, yeah, you can. It's pretty simple. What you do is you put in your initial investment. Let's make this more reasonable. Let's make it 25 grand. Okay. So there's your big chunk of savings in. You're at 25 grand. And when it's overbought by 2 standard deviations, you're going to take some lifestyle chips. So this is what it looks like. You sold in January 2018, and we took off, we took off 20% of our Bitcoin. And then we bought back in the low. And then we bought again in the 2020 crash. And then we sold twice in when it got to 2 standard deviations overbought in 2021 and 2022. We bought back again right at the low in 2022, and it's flashing that we should be buying now. This is why I get excited when I see lower prices. Where we are is a monthly 8 and a monthly 12 in, this is Ethereum, but they're all the same. 9s and 13s are the full reversal pattern. So we're at the bottom of the wedge of this consolidation pattern. If you remember, gold did something very similar, and then it exploded out of the range. And then when we look at SUI, which I know a bunch of you are in as well, the log channel is, we've already hit the 9 count. We won't go to the 13 count. We are 1.8 standard deviations oversold. So I like this. We're back to basically the same levels we've done like 3 or 4 times before, but now we're so oversold that the opportunity set means that the risk reward on an adjusted basis going forward is extremely high. Now, you can think about that and think, what's going to be higher in a year's time? NVIDIA in terms of percentage gains, or Ethereum, Solana, SUI, Bitcoin? It's very hard to argue that NVIDIA doubles from here, considering where we are in the compute cycle, where we are in the semi cycle, where we are in the CapEx build-out cycle. But for here, for the applications layer of this, yeah, I can see that. So anyway, so I'm very interested in that. When we go to the QQQ version, so now we're talking about the NASDAQ, again, this is all on Real Vision. It's all part of the tools that you get once you sign up as a member of Real Vision. There's tons of these dashboards to help you understand what you're doing. So the NASDAQ now is Where are we? We are one standard deviation overbought, 13% above fair value, nothing wild. I mean, really, even if we took lifestyle chips off at one standard deviation, you've only done it twice ever, but you missed that whole rally. And I think you'll miss a massive rally too. There's a lot going on in the NASDAQ right now. You've got the index inclusion. People don't realize this, and I've traded this stuff for 30 years, is the index inclusion trade. So you're bringing a monster weighting in, which is SpaceX. Everything has to be weighted down.
The signs are aligning in a way that rarely presents itself. Bitcoin has just touched its most oversold level in roughly 11 years. Valuations across the crypto market have been pushed back to previous cycle lows. Technical reversal signals are emerging across multiple assets, and a liquidity tide that has historically moved Bitcoin and the broader market continues to rise without pause. The window may not stay open forever, but right now, for Bitcoin and the assets moving alongside it, it appears wide open for those paying close attention. Do you believe crypto will outperform traditional tech stocks over the next year? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our latest Bitcoin and crypto market updates.